Next week, we'll be discussing Batman from 1989. Tom, how was your watch?
It was great. I
Okay, Chris.
yeah, I've seen the movie before. I think this is my no. I don't think this is definitely my favorite Batman movie. I'll be honest with you. I do not like the Christopher Nolan movies or any other movie by Christopher Nolan, but I especially dislike his Batman movies. I have a fun time with the Joel Schumacher ones, even though their camp is a little, it's even more than I can take. And I have a pretty good tolerance for camp. Um, the recent Justice League stuff with Ben Affleck, I think Ben Affleck's fine in the role, but the film is nowhere as near in quality as this. This is a gorgeous looking movie. I think the set direction is some of the best in all of the movies in in all of the Batman movies, but it's also some of the best I've seen in a film generally. I mean, it's beautiful set direction. Um I think Michael Keaton is my favorite Batman because he's the weirdest of the Batmans. He's the hardest one to kind of fit in a box. I will say maybe my controversial opinion will be I'm not overly affectionate of Jack Nicholson's Joker. It's not the most graceful role that he's done. And I think the writing is a little rough. Apparently, there was a screenwriters strike going on while this is going on, and so the script actually never received a final draft. So this is kind of a rough draft script that had to be filmed. But besides that, I really always have a very good time with this movie. I think it's pretty wonderful.
That was quite the first impression.
I'm impressed by your impression.
This film came out in 89, and it's got to be the first film that I remember seeing advertisements for and getting excited for. I know this wasn't the first blockbuster. I know this wasn't the first movie that had posters and billboards and ads in newspapers, if people remember what those things are, or things on like spots on TV. But this was by far the first movie at my young tender age of 7 or 8 where I remember seeing the ads and being influenced by them. And I know that's happened ever since. You see the trailer for movie X and you're like, oh, that's going to be great. I want to make sure I save the date and go see it. This was the first movie that I remember seeing that for. And even watching it now, being that it's 30 years old, it's still fantastic. I don't know that I'm going to go and say that's my favorite Batman movie, but it is definitely up there, top 2, top 3. Fantastic stuff.
I wouldn't put it as high up as you guys, actually. Having just watched it again, I mean, I definitely enjoyed it. Some of the Joker stuff was a bit, I don't know, too much like a play, dancing around and stuff.
That's the 80s.
Yeah, it's definitely had that 80s, the music, of course, come out with the boombox and everything. But yeah, no, I mean, it definitely had its moments, and it was. I think it's actually the first movie or one of them that that I actually remember seeing. The beginning I couldn't really remember too well, and I was like, wow, maybe I never even seen this. And then after like 15 minutes after that, I kind of remember the whole thing like pretty, like I just saw it recently. I thought Michael Keaton, he was really good. The Joker, I feel Jack Nicholson's always overacting, personally. Or at least between this and Departed, I've not as into it as some people. But,
Thank you for saying that. I think he's terrible in The Departed. Thank you, Justin. Exactly. I think you're perfectly right. Yeah.
I was just saying, this guy is not Whitey Bulger like in any sense.
Along those lines, I think this may have been one of the earlier, I guess, violent films that I saw. I just remember like this, and again, watching it now and seeing what really is out there from that time even forward that I've seen, this is not really that violent, but there is some killing and bloodshed, and there is a lot of different things going on. But I think at that age, I was born in the early 80s. I was still fairly young, just like Chris. And that's what jumped out at me. It was like the first, I guess, darker film I saw. And I don't know if it's just because I have this bias, but this is my Batman too. Everything gets compared back to this film. when I think of Batman. And I'm going to go into it more again when we talk about the movie in great detail, but this was the thing that I always check any other adaptation from, analyze it back to this one.